The Marvels, the movie no one seemed to be interested in seeing and that everyone seems to be talking about now that it's been released, but it's for all the wrong reasons. I have to be honest, I didn't even know this had come out. I saw so little promo for it, very little build up towards the movie even releasing, and my boyfriend was actually the one who asked me if I wanted to go see it. Now, it's starring Brie Larson, of course. She came back and reprised her role. Tiana Paris, Iman Vellani, Zoe Ashton, and Samuel L. Jackson, at least in terms of the main roles. Now, I spoke about this a little bit over on my main channel when I was talking about Rachel Zegler in the upcoming live-action remake of Snow White, but now we're really going to get into it with this film. So, let's talk about the storyline real quick. Now, Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, is now facing another adversary by the name of dar-benn. Please correct me if I am not saying that right, but I was trying to remember for the life of me how they said it in the movie, but I really couldn't. So I do apologize if I said it wrong. We're just gonna call her dar-benn. Okay, so dar-benn comes out seemingly as the result of Captain Marvel destabilizing the universe and taking away her planet's sun. But Captain Marvel doesn't quite figure this out until after meeting up with the other ladies that eventually come to make up the Marvels. They are Kamala Khan, who we find out is in possession of a bracelet that contains the power that this dar-benn villain is seeking, and of course Monica Rambeau, who is the daughter to Captain Marvel's old pal Maria from the first Captain Marvel film. The three of them have their first encounter shortly after Kamala decides to put on the bracelet that I think she said she got from her grandmother, and she then begins to switch places with the other two women every time one of them uses their powers or newly gained powers when it comes to Kamala and Monica, since Captain Marvel already had powers. But somehow they're all linked, and that's when they all come into contact with their villain dar-benn. Kamala, who eventually renames herself Miss Marvel, is only a teenager, I believe, and is now trying to save the universe alongside Monica and her childhood idol, Captain Marvel. It takes the Marvels a little while to get their switching problem figured out and how they could use it to their advantage. Monica and Captain Marvel also try to work through some of their problems. Monica is a daughter to her friend Maria, like I mentioned already, and Carol was off being Captain Marvel, saving the universe pretty much while Maria was dying from her illness. Monica was pretty much feeling abandoned by Carol during this time and has carried these feelings with her into her adulthood and still kind of resents her Auntie Carol. But that's just a sidebar. We're just gonna get back to the main points of the movie. So after several girl power jokes and conversations later, Captain Marvel soon realizes that they, the Marvels, are going to need some help, and she turns to her husband. We find out she had some arrangement going on with Prince Yan, where she had become his wife to help him become king, and he would then in turn help her with whatever she needed. And in this case, she needed some assistance with fighting off this villain and her little minions. Now, one thing that was a little weird was definitely the scene where they're on Prince Yan's planet and their language, we find out, is singing. So they literally have to sing everything. So it was a little bit more annoying than humorous, at least in my eyes, because I'm not really a major fan of musicals in movie form, even if it did only last for a few minutes. And even Captain Marvel looked uncomfortable and annoyed almost the entire time she was there, at least in terms of Brie Larson acting as Captain Marvel. She had looked annoyed. So I don't know if that was on purpose or if she was just genuinely annoyed as Brie Larson. I don't know, but I was annoyed listening to them sing everything. I was like, I don't really find this funny. It's kind of just annoying. So yeah, but regardless, somewhere during the storyline, Captain Marvel and the Marvels had landed on another planet right in the middle of a conversation between the leader of that planet and their evil adversary dar-benn. But it's because of Captain Marvel's presence at that moment that dar-benn feels as though the planet's leader was trying to trick or play with her, so she just decides to destroy the planet and everybody on it. So the Marvels are now trying to save everyone that they can. However, they run out of time, and Kamala sees the true weight of being a superhero when they realize that they can't save everyone in that moment. There's a bit of haze when it comes to what happens between here and when they meet up with dar-benn for me, so we're just gonna cut to the end. Kind of. So the Marvels face their adversary and defeat her by literally just letting her have what she wanted this whole time, which was the matching bracelet that Kamala had in her possession. And dar-benn gets the other bracelet and soon realizes that the power is too much for her to handle while attempting to harvest the power to complete her mission, which results in her dying and also creating a rift between two different universes. At this moment, Monica then sacrifices herself to close the rift from the other side. Captain Marvel tries to save her, but doesn't get to her in time before the rift was fully closed. After Monica exhausts her power to close this rift, she falls unconscious, and in sticking with the Marvel's tradition, in an after credits cutscene, Monica wakes up in this other universe and finds who she believes is her mom Maria that had already passed away in her universe, but she has no idea in this alternate universe who Monica is, and that's pretty much where the story ends. So now we're gonna get into some of my thoughts and also a little bit of what other people had presented as well, because there's a good bit. Yeah, there's a good bit of opinion for me. So this film ended up getting a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, which even though it's low, it's a much higher score than I thought it was going to get. And it also receives a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb. The scores are pretty average, and in my opinion, they kind of reflect the energy I thought the film exuded, which is average and also kind of not memorable. Even when I was trying to go back and retell the story a little for the sake of the video, there were a lot of bits that I either completely forgot about or couldn't remember where they fell in the timeline. Besides the obvious, my real frustration with the film is that it didn't really feel like there was a real challenge, something major that they had to overcome. Usually, a major challenge or a test would really push the main characters, or superheroes in this case, to really dig deep and push themselves out of their comfort zones. And it's those moments where we as the audience can relate to them because everyone goes through things, you know, everyone goes through ups and downs in their life. But in this film, it just feels a little too easy. Like there wasn't really much to overcome. They defeated their villain with almost too much ease in my eyes. I just didn't feel a real connection with the film like it did with the other Marvel movies. Even the first Captain Marvel film back in 2019 was better than this, in my opinion. And there have also been a lot of talks, obviously, about Brie Larson kind of dragging the Captain Marvel films when it comes to press down. But even with that aside, it just feels like she's a little detached when it comes to playing the character. Now, in terms of the overall direction for these films, specifically with Captain Marvel, it does look kind of interesting because they're reintroducing that idea of the multiverse, but I'm kind of worried about the overall trajectory of the Marvel films because they've been kind of dropping in the story department lately, at least when it comes to the quality of the actual storyline that they produce or present to us as the audience. As they introduce more and more characters, I worry that the quality that was originally intended from the comics could be lost in the sauce because the company is so eager to just put a movie out every year after seeing the major success of the Avengers films, for example. But I just wonder if overall, if Disney is just trying to pump out as many Marvel films as possible because of that reason, and now they're just kind of slacking on the quality that they give us. So y'all let me know if y'all feel as though that's the case. I kind of feel that way when it comes to their live action films. A lot of their animated movies that they brought to life in these live action films, I felt didn't really need a live action remake at all, if I'm going to be honest. I thought that it was just a little unnecessary. But I think particularly when it comes to the Marvel films, I'm a little worried. I am. I used to really like them, and now they just seem kind of like not really all that genuine, and maybe it's just the Captain Marvel movies when it comes to the genuineness, but when it comes to the other Marvel films also, I feel like just the storyline in general has not been that exciting to me. But y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.